So I'm very excited today with my panelists that we'll have to discuss such an imperative topic to understand what needs to be done and also what awareness can we make to people to understand that the cybersecurity is very important, because you will see in nowadays a lot of things are happening in terms of the cyber threats that are happening online. So we definitely need to make sure how do we protect our information and the data that is stored on the cloud. And thank you so much. Good morning and good morning to our viewers. I am Makaziwe Makamba. I am a Doctor of Philosophy in Computer Science, and I am also a 𝐴 research expert from the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies. I am not alone today. I am with Themba Mnguni. Mr. Themba Mnguni, can you please introduce yourself? Thank you. You are muted, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Dr. Makaziwe. I am Themba Mnguni. I'm a Deputy Director, Information Systems Auditing in South Africa for the Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, and Land Reform. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Themba. Indeed, in South Africa, we are joining this summit while we have a lot of uneasiness and unrest. I hope you are safe wherever you are, and also you are keeping yourself healthy in this COVID time. Also together with Castro Mosina. I'm not sure if it's joined us yet. Castro?
Yes, Dr. Makaziwe, I'm here.
All right, can you show yourself? And hello, Castro. Nice to meet you.
Hi. Yes, yeah. Yeah, just by way of quick intro, my name is Castro Mosina. I was previously with Rand West City in the west of Johannesburg as the Chief Information Officer, but I have since moved, joined provincial government of Gauteng, more specifically Department of Gauteng Treasury and eGov. Basically also responsible for the modernization agenda of the whole province there. I'm also excited to be here and then looking forward to the conversation with colleagues. Thanks a lot, Doc.
Masha Castro, I hope you are also safe wherever you are as well, especially if you are here in South Africa.
Yes.
All right. I have mentioned that as Sithembile is going back late, so she will join us shortly. I think she's experiencing some bit of technical glitches, but she will join us lately. And also we have Isah, AJ. Isah, are you with us? Can you kindly introduce yourself? Is Isah with us? All right. I've seen that Sithembile has joined us. So Sithembile, can you kindly introduce yourself, ma'am?
Hey, hello, everybody. I'm Sithembile Songo, Head of Information Security at the Public Investment Corporation in South Africa. So that's where I head up the information security function to make sure that I enable business in a secured manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Sithembile. I'm sure you are making sure that we are safe and secured and our information is well intact, especially in this digital era. All right, let's quickly go to Isah to introduce himself. Hi, Isah.
Hello, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good morning, or whatever the time it is over there. Speaking from Nigeria, I'm a Director IT Department of Economic and
You sound a bit far, Isah. Can you come closer to your mic or so, or maybe increase the volume?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
You sound much better now, yes.
Okay. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning, Isah.
Morning, Isah.
All right, yeah, my name is Isah Abdullahi. I'm speaking from Nigeria. I'm the Director ICT Department, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission.
All right, thank you.
Very glad.
Thank you so much. All right. I guess we're all excited to do such an imperative topic today. It is indeed, you know, one of the things that makes this topic very interesting is because of the times that we are currently living in nowadays, where everything we're doing using e-services, everything, and the 4IR is here pushing us towards that journey. So we need to make sure that our data is really secured and know and understand and dissect what ways can we do in order to make sure that our information is really secured. And also, it is very important for us to make sure that our people, they understand the impact of cybersecurity and how to alleviate the threats that are actually caused by this cybersecurity, and also how people can make sure that their information is well intact and can trust the system, because now there's a bit of uneasiness, especially now people, they're doing online banking and so forth, because now there are people that are opportunists that they're trying to make sure that by all means they go and intercept the information. Ladies and gentlemen, before wasting any further time, I think I will go straight to Mr. Themba to do the presentation on that regard, and then we'll have the discussion afterwards. So we'll start with Mr. Themba to do the presentation. I would ask us to switch off our videos and also to mute ourselves, so that we allow the presenter to be the only one that is actually on video and also unmuted. Mr. Themba, over to you, sir. Thank you.
Good day. As I indicated earlier on, that I'm Themba Mnguni from South Africa. Okay, just maybe to take you on about what we are doing in South Africa with regards to cybersecurity. We've got a number of legislations that we have passed. These legislations are meant to govern cybersecurity. They include things such as your POPI, they include things such as your which is Protection of Personal Information Act. We've got things such as your Critical Infrastructure Act. We've got Electronic Communications and Transactions Act. But most importantly, we are in 2012. We passed a strategy. We passed a strategy which is called a National Cybersecurity Strategy, National Cybersecurity Policy Framework, which is a strategy on cybersecurity. We are currently having what we call a policy, which is still in draft, which is a national data and cloud a policy, which will also guide us when it comes to these things of clouds and cybersecurity. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Themba. We really indeed need that policy that will actually guide us, especially with the data and the cloud policy, that at least we can know what is it that we're allowed to do and what is it that we are really not allowed to do, especially when it comes to data. And I'm very happy that you have mentioned the POPIA Act as well, that has been gazetted and we all know about, that at least enforces the kind of protection to our data to make sure that everyone doesn't share the information that doesn't belong to them, let alone the pictures, without having somebody's consent. Thank you so much, Mr. Themba Mnguni, for that paramount information that you have given us in there. Let me quickly go to Isah to check the discussion from his side before we can have our panel discussion. Isah, would you like to share your thoughts in this regard?
Yes, hello.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
All right. What we are doing in Nigeria is somewhat what Mr. Themba talked about. We have a very big initiative of assessing critical national infrastructure in the country. It's a very big program where every agency come together in a forum, identify critical infrastructure, whether fiscal or maybe information-based. You may have infrastructures like oil and gas, like electricity. These are sensitive infrastructure, not necessarily ICT alone. Then you have sensitive data centers housing sensitive information in the country. Every agency come together, put these infrastructures, and then come up with very, very big strategy and procedures to implement this strategy and form of policies. It is a very, very mandatory thing for every agency to abide by this policies. And there are regulations from regulatory agencies, it could be communication agencies.
Sorry to interject in there, Isah, we are really struggling to hear you. We hear you, you keep on breaking. Maybe do you want to try again so that we can hear you clearly?
I don't know why the line is breaking, because along the line when you are talking, the line keeps breaking as well. Do you hear me now?
Yeah. Now you sound much better. I think in that direction, just stay right that direction. Thank you.
I said exactly what Mr. Themba talked about. I think maybe that's what's going on in Africa. In Nigeria, we come up with a national policy on critical and sensitive national information infrastructure. And in addition to that, we also identify physical infrastructures like electricity, like oil and gas, in addition to information infrastructure, and make them part of this CNI. We call it CNI, critical national infrastructure. And every agency come together, because the business of electricity is not the business of ICT. The business of ICT might not be the business of oil and gas. Coming together with your background or local knowledge of your institution, we come together and form strategy that will cover all institutions, agencies, parastatals in the government. Because what we are focusing right now is the government first. The private sectors are doing their own. Altogether, there will be an umbrella policy to coordinate the security of this infrastructure. We all know that these infrastructures, if affected, is going to affect the economy and by extension, the security of the country. So it is very, very important policy for the country, and every institution is abiding by it. We also have some regulations, because in our country, we have, for example, Nigerian Communication Commission, responsible for managing all the telecommunication agencies. I know you have MTN in your country, for example, MTN. You also have another agency managing all the IT companies in Nigeria. These are regulatory agencies. There are many regulatory agencies. So each of these regulatory agencies come up with regulations that every company or agency that do the business that they are regulating must comply with these regulations. So when you combine the regulations and then the initiative of these policies of critical national infrastructures put together, is going to harmonize the regulation of cybersecurity in the country. For us, that is the starting point. But we all know that cybersecurity actually starts with an individual, and it means education. If you are informed that these are the do's and don'ts to protect the small information on your handset, on your mobile device, on your laptop, on your computer workstation, that is the starting point for security for me. In my own opinion, if each and every citizen in Africa is going to find a way, instead of moving around internet, just enjoying himself, educate himself about how to secure his own data on the handset collectively, without even policies, you discover that people will be able to protect their data and they will be sensitive about what they do with their handset. Then the government and the private sector are already doing their bit. Combined together, you are going to get a very good result, and then we have a very good cyber ecosystem in Africa.
Thank you so much, Isah, for that in there. I do take away that what we're trying to do and trying to make sure that we do in the continent at large, we need to actually implement those regulations and policies that will direct the use of the data, and also the awareness that we need to create for people to understand what is it that they're allowed to do when they are having these devices on their hands, especially also when you look at the kids in high school and also university, they really need to understand the pros and cons of what they have on their hand. Thank you so much, Isah, for that. I truly appreciate that. We will have some more questions when we are doing our panel discussion after Sithembile has done the the presentation on her side. Sithembile, over to you, ma'am. Can you do us for a presentation on your side on what you see as the aspects that are very important, especially to minimize the cyber threats that are currently taking place in our continent? Over to you, Sithembile. You are muted, Sithembile. Yeah, now you are. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you for that. The truth is we live in unprecedented times whereby we have to make sure that we improve our cybersecurity posture in every way, whether at a national level or corporate level. During this pandemic, we've seen good and bad events unfolding right in front of our eyes. So we've got no option now but to make sure that we strengthen our cybersecurity posture. So at a corporate level, there's a lot that we are doing in our space. For instance, we are currently operating in a hybrid environment, but we are in a process of migrating to the cloud. And it's a very exciting, innovative initiative, I must say. There are a lot of capabilities that one can also leverage from there, because there are security capabilities that you don't necessarily get on the on-prem systems. So yes, I've seen a lot of advantages, or should I say, benefits that one can leverage from on the cloud-based systems. And not only that, obviously, there's the Cybercrime Act that has been signed into law. There's POPI that has been enforced since July, since the beginning of July. So what we are doing there is to try to make sure that we comply with the relevant legislation. Yes, so there's a lot that is happening also in terms of making sure that we improve our prevention and detection controls. Not that they were not there, it's just that currently we are working remotely. So the attack surface has increased significantly. So once the attack surface increases, you should also make sure that you boost your cybersecurity controls. So making sure that we are a step ahead also in terms of the cyber attacks that are happening out there. Because as you know, I'm not sure if you are aware that currently the cyber attackers are using a very sophisticated types of attacks. One of them is called living off the land, LOTLs. So that's where the cyber attacker tried to hide whatever that he's doing through your processes. In other ways, they hide themselves through your network, and then they leverage on your processes. And it's very difficult to dictate the type of an attack. So you need to then also be a step ahead, do your threat hunting, make it a point that you are able to detect or pick up any cyber attacks that are not usually picked up by your cyber security controls. So that's what we are doing. That's one of the things that we're trying to do. We're trying to implement or fully optimize our detection and monitoring controls. Recently, we've also implemented a SOC because, like I said, it is important to optimize your monitoring controls. So through this SOC, we are intending to make sure that we fully optimize our monitoring controls. Not only that, we understand exactly what is happening in our environment. Because if you monitor in silos, it's difficult to react once there's an incident. But if you monitor, you are able to understand exactly what's happening in your environment. And even if there's an incident, you'll be able to react as quick as possible. So we are already leveraging from the benefits that we have from that SOC that we've implemented. So there's quite a lot. Basically touch on other things as we carry on during our panel discussion. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Sithembile. I am fully in agreement with you that we need to be step ahead at all times, especially during this pandemic where everyone is at home, where everyone is doing things at their own places. And the people that are doing the cyber crimes, they are hiding themselves behind those systems. So we need to make sure that our systems are well intact and make sure that we are always step ahead. Thank you so much, Sithembile, for that. We'll discuss more in details when we're doing our panel discussion. Let's quickly go to Castro Mosina to give us his views on the side of the cybercrime. Castro? One of the issues that I've noticed that we also have the issues of the network. So I'm not sure if Castro can hear us on his side. Castro, can you hear us? Castro, are you there? Colleagues, while we are waiting for Castro to come back, maybe he's having the issues of the network in that area. We just want to discuss, as Thembile, just coming back to you, as you have mentioned that the benefits of using a cloud computing, it's very well known, and people need to be alert of what is it that they can benefit when they are moving to the cloud. Do you know any aspect that we need perhaps to strengthen during this COVID-19 pandemic to make sure that we are safe and people in terms of the data that they have online is very safe? So do you know perhaps of any aspect that we need to make sure that they're well intact to prevent the cyber crimes?
Okay, definitely. So what one can do, like I said earlier on, is to make sure that you understand what is happening in your environment. In other words, you have to understand what are your core assets so that you can protect them accordingly. But you can only protect them if you understand them, understand the threats against those assets that you have. In other words, if you're one of the national key points, you've got critical infrastructure. So what is your critical infrastructure? Do you know the threats that are applicable to that critical infrastructure? Once you know them, then you'll be able to apply controls that are applicable or that are required for that particular infrastructure. So one can do that by applying a layered defense mechanism. Other people call it defense in depth strategy. So what helps with that strategy is that if one control fails, the other one kicks in. Because in cybersecurity, you can never get a solution that is 100% secured. In other words, there's no silver bullet. So it's better if you apply that defense layered mechanism so that if one fails, the other one kicks in. So it would include proper prevention strategies. For instance, make sure that you've got proper policies in place and enforce them. Don't just have them in place. Make sure that you enforce them accordingly. Obviously, the tools that you have in place will help you to enforce those controls. And then it goes beyond that. When you implement those controls, you make it a point that you monitor the effectiveness of those controls. Test them accordingly. How can you test them? By implementing penetration tests. Penetration tests help you to proactively identify vulnerabilities and mitigate them before the hackers do, because believe you me, they do. What I've also noticed is with regards to the cyber attacks that have been happening, people leverage on just basic hygiene, poor cyber hygiene. So it is important that your cyber hygiene is intact. In other words, if you've got systems or you've got workloads that are internet facing, whether they're internet facing or not, you should just make sure that your patches are up to date. Because nowadays, there's a report actually that just came out recently. It's the OCA State of Public Cloud report. Yeah, that's what it's called. Sorry, it's a public cloud report. That's all that I can say. So it reveals that about 80% of the organizations leave external facing workloads unpatched for 180 days or more. So that's amazing, because we're supposed to have learned from previous attacks, like the mega breach that happened in 2017, due to a web server that was unpatched. So it seems like instead of learning from these cyber attacks that are happening, we tend to be more relaxed, maybe just because of the one control that we have. It doesn't help. We really need to make sure that we leverage on that layered defense mechanism that I spoke about, even in terms of identity and access management, enforce single sign-on, enforce multi-factor authentication. We know nowadays that phishing is quite prevalent. So if you're only using your username and password, you're not secure enough. Rather use multi-factor authentication, because it's difficult for those malicious actors to get hold of your credentials if you've got that additional layer of authentication. I'm not saying that they won't, they can, but it's more difficult if you're using multi-factor authentication. So yes, this report was quite scary when I saw it. I was like, yes, we are currently migrating to the cloud, but we need to make sure that we apply the necessary measures to protect our corporate information. Otherwise, we will be vulnerable to all these types of attacks. If I'm looking at the current pandemic that is happening, the next pandemic might be cyber related, because when it comes to cybersecurity or cyber breaches, there are no borders. There are no borders. So there is why we need to make sure that we strengthen our cybersecurity controls. And then once you apply all these controls, whether it's prevention, detection, monitoring, you need to make sure that you've got proper resilience strategies in place, because if something goes wrong, you need to be able to react accordingly. For instance, have your business contingency plans, disaster recovery plans, and make sure that they are tested and updated accordingly, so that you are able to react in terms of your recovery time objectives or the recovery point objectives. Yeah, so that's what I can say in a nutshell. But there's quite a lot that one can do. Just that if I were to mention everything, I'll take almost the whole day. So yes, yeah, that's what I can say for now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sithembile. You have mentioned quite a lot of things that we can do. And I fully agree with you. I think we tend to relax once we have that faith that we are secured enough, forgetting that these attackers are getting smarter every day, and they are trying by all means to find better ways of making sure how can we hack that particular system. So we need to make sure that we always monitor our system and always be step ahead, because when you look at the cyber things that are happening, and also especially in the digital era, everyone now knows that we moved to the digital era and the 4IR era, where we're doing everything online. Whatever that we want to go to nowadays, I'm even lazy to go to the shopping malls. I just do everything online and take my phone and get something from e-services. And now that is an opportunity for the attackers to make sure they are there, to make sure they intercept the information in there. And you'll be shocked, especially when you look at the Sithembile, the way we are using the WhatsApp, the way we are using these e-services. You'll be shocked when somebody knows everything that you have been mentioning to somebody and forgetting that that person was not even there. And they've actually intercepted your line while you were busy talking to a person, and that is what they're doing. And you'll be shocking nowadays that I was actually talking to somebody over the phone, and strange enough, on WhatsApp, I've gotten a call where somebody was actually mentioning everything that we're saying. And from there, very strange and very accurate. It's very shocking how accurate they are. And they're giving a call and mentioning that you were talking to this particular person, and we actually also spoke with her. She mentioned this and this and this and this and this. For that matter, they're saying that you're the person that can help. And when the person comes, and even if you can verify, especially now, what they're doing, they're trying to block that person so that you can't access that person to do the verification. And they know how long will that take for you not to be able to verify the information. And me trying to help, only to find out when the person that come back and said, no, I don't even know those people, they're probably the hackers. And then I was so shocked, like the accuracy of the information, and I never thought. And now comes back to the cybersecurity that we forget. We keep on being relaxed that no, we're actually going to be scammed by having some other ways. We don't really realize that these people, they're intercepting the information and the data that we're doing in our, especially on WhatsApp. They're trying to make sure that, you know what, we get there. They are smarting every day. So I absolutely agree that we need to monitor our system and make sure that we keep on checking if we are safe enough without really relaxing. Thank you so much, Sithembile, for that. And thank you so much for that. We'll have more discussion afterwards. I've been told that Castro is back now. Let's quickly go to Castro. Castro, can you hear us now? Castro? All right, it seems like Castro is actually having a bit of issues again with his network on his side. Maybe I'll come quickly to Themba Mnguni to check the implication of the cyber threats in our economy, especially now that we are in this COVID-19 pandemic. What's your say? What's your thought of that, Mr. Themba, when it comes to the implication of these cyber crimes, especially during this pandemic?
Okay, yeah, thanks, Doctor. Cyber crimes. Let's categorize these cyber crimes, Doctor. We've got state versus state cyber crimes. We've got cyber crimes with those what I would call organized what we call organized crimes. We've got some individuals, as you mentioned, maybe WhatsApp a scenario where people know they are targeting you, but state versus state, it is targeting mostly your critical infrastructure. So the implications will be on your critical infrastructure, the likes of your electricity, your water, the critical infrastructure, which is very much critical for your economy. So if you don't deal with those, then chances are the country will be affected in a big way when it comes to those kind of attacks. And then those of organized, those by organized criminals, they are much more about, financial reasons. They're trying to, screw you financially, if I could put it like that. It applies again to those that are being done by your individuals. Now, in dealing with these cyber crimes or cyber threats, it's important, Doctor, for countries to get their strategies right. I'm worried personally, because I've seen cyber security strategy by Europe. I've seen the Department of Homeland Security in America. But in Africa, I don't know if my fellow panelists, they know something that I don't know. I've never seen a cyber security strategy by the African Union. Maybe if there's anyone who knows anything, I would like to be assisted them. But I know for sure that we've got about, last time I checked, we had about 15 countries in Africa out of 55, probably 20 now, who are now having a cyber security strategy. It is improving. I think we are improving there. It's fine. But in order for us to fight cyber crimes successfully, we need a coordinated effort. We need to get our strategy that allows nationally each and every sector to participate. And then when it comes to a continent, all the countries, for instance, in Africa, they need to work together. If we're working in silos, trust me, these cyber threats will never go away anytime soon. So unless we do it that way, trust me, we will be singing from the same hymn even 5 years or so, even 10 years to come. So we really need to work together. That's the strategy. I'm happy with with South Africa having come up with the National Cybersecurity Strategy. I've gone through it, and I can feel that they are trying to make sure that everyone participates. It's because it should not be that issue of having state security, just driving it the intelligent way, but I'm happy to see that they are trying to make sure that each and every sector in our economy participates. And secondly, South Africa is able to work with other countries in order to be able to try and mitigate this risk and be able to prosecute where we have to. So yeah, I think the implications are on critical infrastructure and on our financial or on our PERSEs. So if we could be able to deal with those, I think we can improve big time. Thanks.
Absolutely, Themba. I definitely agree with you. I think we need to have a coordinated way of dealing with this, because when you look at the hackers, what they do, they look at the loopholes. They make sure they go, when we are working in silos, it's easy for them to identify where can we go and hack today. And now it means that we are in danger, especially our infrastructure and systems. Now it comes to give the conflict when we are thinking of moving everything to a cloud, and then you ask yourself, are we really safe? Is our cybersecurity space safe enough to say we are moving into the cloud? Because now the security aspects, that's where they become in danger, and you check, are we having strong enough a cybersecurity infrastructure that can actually see this crime before it can actually happen? So I guess you're actually right. We need that coordinated way. Mm-hmm. Over to you. I see you want to say.
Yeah, sir. I wanted to add something. When this pandemic started, Dr. Makaziwe, our organizations were quick to adopt things as a cloud, to say, okay, we are working from home, we are working remotely, and then let's introduce cloud, let's adopt this and that. But you'll find that, for instance, they don't move along with their policies. you are having a cloud, you've adopted a cloud, but you have misconfigured it. The way you are accessing that cloud is not in line with the security. If you check the two, you find out they don't talk to each other. And then if you will come and say, but your policy is saying this, and then what you have adopted to be able to adapt it to this current situation, they are not in line with it. They are not speaking to each other. So it's one of the things that we picked up. And again, there are other issues with regards to the use of personal devices. I think I need to mention this. People will say, no, but we've got the VPN. People who are connecting to our network via VPN, so we are saying things are encrypted. But if that device is already compromised, trust me, the hackers are having direct access to your systems. So it's one of those things that we say, okay, when we are using those devices, those personal devices, how secure are they? Okay, and then if you are using, they bring your own device, you need to make sure that they meet the standards and they are in line with your own policy, so that you don't give access to the hackers through your VPN.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Themba. Absolutely, I absolutely agree, because it's very strange, especially with this move and the influx of COVID-19. Now everything we have to do it online. Everything now we are working from home, and now you are looking at the issues where you check the devices that we are doing and working at home using that. Are we really secure enough? And now my question comes, Themba, asking that, are we having enough policies? Are those policies that we have, are they enough to protect us from those attackers? Before I move to Isah in there. Are these policies, are they sustainable enough? Are they enough? Are they good enough for us to be protected, from your view?
Yeah, look, I think there's a lot that we are doing. You know, when it comes to coming up with a policy, I think we mastered it. I think we are very good. For instance, in South Africa, we have got a lot of acts. We are developing a lot of policies, okay? We are developing and developing. There's a lot of these things. I think the issue will be the effectiveness of these, okay? To the effectiveness of this. You know, I'm happy Sithembile mentioned something very, very much important, that especially our government departments, they must be aware of and adapt. The issues of conducting vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. As information systems auditors, we do this ourselves, but we would also say, don't wait for us to do this. Do this yourselves, always quarterly, always conduct vulnerability assessments quarterly. Know the vulnerabilities. You know, people will tell you that no auditor general once did vulnerability assessment, once did penetration testing. We know our vulnerabilities maybe last year. But I'm telling you, conducting vulnerability assessment is about what you don't know. It's not about what you know. What you know, you are probably waiting for a budget and then to be able to fix this and that. But this vulnerability assessment, vulnerability assessment tools, they use databases that are being updated almost every hour. So you need to know everything that could affect you and your stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Themba, for that. We'll have those thought-provoking discussions just after I have a discussion with Isah in there. Let's, as you have mentioned, Themba, that in Africa, you don't know of any aspect that they have developed to make sure that as the strategies that we are intact, we are protected. I just want to know from Isah, from his side, what they have been doing on their side and what aspect have they done to make sure everything is protected, especially with the cybercrime that is happening. Isah, on your side, can you elaborate on us? And because there's also a question that comes from the audience that they're asking that in Africa, cybercrime is not taken very serious, of which is really a challenging thing, because especially if we are in the digital era, we need to make sure that cybercrime is really taken into consideration. So what can people do, or what can be done in order to change this norm and make sure that the cyber attacks, they are really taken into consideration, especially in the African continent? Over to you, Isah.
Taking cybercrime seriously or not seriously, I think it depends on the country in Africa. There are countries within Africa that take cybercrime so serious that they have to create an agency. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Just stand on that side and yeah, just like that. So we can hear you now.
All right.
Thank you.
depends on the country in Africa. There are countries that take cybercrime so serious that they have to create an agency to tackle cybercrime. In addition to the normal police system, every country has a police. Police take care of this kind of problems. But because of the nature of cybercrime, it's normally conducted in the cyberspace. And you discover that police are trained with the normal police training. This is a unique crime. They have to create agencies to specifically look into this problem. And in Nigeria, for example, there is an agency created to tackle this particular crime, to tell you how serious Nigeria has taken this cybercrime. In Nigeria, it is not just about creating this agency, it's also about creating deliberate policies. There are so many agencies. Every country has CBN. The Central Bank of Nigeria regularly create policies, formulate policies, and they don't do these policies on their own. They invite stakeholders, bankers, police, cyber crimes, national security agencies, and even IT professionals to come in formulating these policies. When these policies are formulated, they must be abided by. Bankers must comply. There are certain criteria that each and every bank in the country must comply. Otherwise, the CBN will shut it down. It's an effort to make sure that customers' money are safe in the hands of banks, because money, as you know, physically, yes, money is in the safe, but money is in the cloud. Money is in the cyber. You check your account in the cloud. You transact in the cloud. This cloud must be safe. So while these banks go and keep the money in the cloud, it must comply with these policies that the CBN formulate, and this formulation is reviewed annually. My commission where I work is part of this body. And we also have, like I mentioned before, a regulatory agency regulating the telecommunication industry. The crime is conducted on the cyberspace. You do not use your vehicle to travel to cloud. You pass through these telecommunication agencies to get to the space. There has to be regulations to make sure that each passenger, each citizen, each netizen that is passing by to get to cloud is known. If you know that individual, then you get the criminal. But if you don't know the individual, there are problems. And that's why we have to make deliberate effort to know individuals that move around in this cyberspace. You don't just go get SIM card, what they call subscriber identification model. They call it identification model, and yet people go and get the SIM card without due registration. What is identification about it? None. Unless you go and tie these fingers, 10 of them, to that particular SIM card, that is when you know the individual that is using it. That's not enough. The SIM card is not enough because you can use it. We all know how you browse. It's dynamic IP. It is not a dedicated IP. That is why these policies come about. The Communication Commission in Nigeria, they have these policies and they review them from time to time. The telcos must comply. Most of the challenges we find in tracing the cyber criminals is because of lack of record. Yes, we can know the individual. He registered the SIM card. Yes, we can know the very IP he used between that period that or such offense is committed. But you're unable to trace him because the retention period is so small. The retention period has to be as long as a year or 2 or even 4 years. Some crimes are not reported until after 2 months. Someone will realize perhaps Dr. Makamba may be so rich to have 10 million rands in her account. She wouldn't notice if 1,000 is removed until maybe after 2 months. By the time you remove, you report it to an agency. that record is not there, and that criminal has gone away, and that will encourage him, oh, there is no regulation. They can't trace me. I'm invisible.
Yes.
There has to be deliberate attempt by a country. Maybe I beg to differ a bit here with Mr. Themba. If you remember in my introduction, I talk about individual. It starts from individual. You have to be responsible enough to educate yourself, whether we like it or not. Most of us are migrants in this world. The real citizens of this world are young children, young men and women that accepted technology. Technology is, if you don't embrace technology, you are an immigrant in this world. The people that embrace technology are the people living. So you must make a deliberate effort. Teach yourself about this technology. Definitely, this kind of things will be minimized. You don't expect government to go house by house and get every citizen on how to protect.
Oh, we are having issues with the network. We can't hear you now, but we've heard almost most of the things that you have said in there, Isah. And I absolutely agree, because now that's actually one of the things that I was saying, that these hackers and these criminals there and cyber crimes that are happening, they are so relaxed and so comfortable that they cannot be traced. As I was talking about my incident that happened, strange enough, when I went online, that number has been doing that since 2010. And of shocking, they are still using the number. And I'm like, my goodness, are we really having a secure way, especially when it comes to these cyber crimes that are happening? If the hacker or the criminal can make sure that he's actually using that for all the time. So I absolutely thank you so much, colleagues, for the time. I see that our time is over now already. I do feel, and I hope that we had more time to discuss about this thought-provoking topic that we are having today. I hope we'll have another time, some other day, to discuss and go into details about this. So thank you so much. And thank you so much, panelists, for your time. Thank you.